How's it going, everyone? Justin here with MyManJustin's Collectible Emporium, and I'm your man for Pokemon cards, card analysis, and Pokemon and general business and investment consulting. Today I'm doing another video via an academic journal I gained through my studies, and the name of this journal is Dressing Your Online Auction Business for Success, an experiment comparing two eBay businesses. So I wanted to do this video because I want to make this research material available to everyone to use as they please. And this would be especially for people that are thinking about getting into the Pokemon market, for example. But of course, this also works for general business practices. And this also actually works for interpersonal communication and relationships. As I mentioned in a past video about other forms of media that I collect, I showed a book by William James, and I talked about how I was also influenced by his pragmatic philosophy in my life. So that's another way that I look at this study, as well as you'll see that the findings in this study can actually be translated to everyday life as well as for businesses, and especially online businesses. So yeah, so people that are interested in kind of the nuts and bolts ideas that will have to go into having a successful business, this is really good for that. It's just some kind of fundamental aspects of a business and this idea of e-signals. And that's a big part of this study. They rely on something called signal theory, and I'll explain that in a moment. And basically what they do is they created two businesses on eBay, and they differentiated the two businesses with positive and negative e-signals or e-images. And the way they did this basically is the one business had a professional or positive name, and the other one a negative, unprofessional name, and one had professional shipping return policies as well as descriptions, and the other one not as professional or accurate or aesthetic. So that's how they differentiated too. So it's really interesting to note these kind of two really kind of fundamental, easy things that people can easily incorporate into their business practices. Like, for example, when you're choosing a name, to not have some kind of crazy or too out there sounding name and try to be too edgy, because if it comes off as not professional, according to the findings of this study, you're actually going to have a reduced amount of your sales prices, as well as a reduced amount of engagement and bids on your auctions. So definitely some very important information, some actionable intelligence, and I'll get into that right now. First, I'm going to explain this idea of signal theory and how it corresponds to this business, and I'll also talk about how it corresponds to normal interpersonal relationships and communications. In environments with incomplete information, consumers must rely on signals provided by businesses to evaluate their ability to produce and deliver quality products. Signaling theory states that in situations where there is information asymmetry, in other words, the level of quality is known to the business, but not the consumer. A signal is an action of the business that credibly relays information about unobservable product or a company quality to the consumer. The more difficult it is for consumers to assess quality prior to purchase, and the less they know about the business selling the product, the more likely they are to rely on signals to form expectations about quality. E-image is one of the primary means e-commerce businesses have of signaling quality to consumers. So first off, just to translate this to interpersonal communications, this kind of speaks to the idea of the first time you meet someone. You don't have much to go on as far as what you know about them, so you have to kind of rely on, for example, something like the equivalent, I would say, of e-signals would be something like paralinguistics, the way they carry themselves, the clothes they wear, how well kept they seem, the way they talk, just those kind of nuanced ways in which you can kind of appraise someone, as well as the name. And like the study was saying, the way that they use as far as the professionalism of the name is another way that people can appraise the quality of a product or an individual. And when I read this, I was thinking of the way that, with people that are named Michael and they'll either go by Mike or Michael, This study would indicate that you might have more beneficial dealings, not monetary dealings, but people's willingness to be friends with you or hang out with you or confide in you or share information with you would actually be based upon a more professional name. So for people that want to improve their professional quality in their interpersonal life, maybe going by Michael, if your name's Michael instead of Mike, might actually improve your the way that others perceive you. So that's just something to think about in terms of the pragmatic philosophy according with this theory. So back to the study, we have people here not knowing much about these online businesses, and that's something that's unique to online businesses, is that they don't get to see the person. All they really get to see is this screen, so they have to rely on these signals. And some of the signals can include feedback, but that's something that's controlled in this. Both of these businesses have 100% feedback, so that is not something that will be differentiated. So the way that the signals they'll be using will be the name of the business and the accuracy and descriptiveness in the description, as well as clearly defined policies. So these are the kind of things that you would want to think about, is to make sure that everything is out there transparent. And then of course, image is one thing, but being able to deliver on your image is a whole nother thing, because then that does get into things like feedback. And you can have the best image in the world, but if you have horrible feedback, you're not going to get the business that you want. So being able to actually follow through is of course of prime importance. But this is assuming that you're going to follow through on all that, of course. The first thing to note was as far as the bids. The business with the positive e-image got their first bid on average 1.26 days sooner than the business with the negative e-image. So already right there, a whole almost day and a half sooner than the other one. Next, the number of bidders bidding on the auctions, there was about a 21% on average increase of bidders on the store with the positive e-image rather than the one with the negative. So 21% more bidders on the positive image. At the end, and here's the part that really the rubber meets the road, there was about a 17.61% increase on price sold. So a 17.6 increase on price for people and remember, these are the same item. Now, also to note, this was specifically for used items that rely a lot heavier on the description. Like for example, Pokémon cards. They are highly dependent on condition and the ability for the person to know enough about the Pokémon cards themselves to accurately state the condition, accurately state the card itself as well. Knowing that that the Evolutions set reprint isn't the same card as the base set, even though it's almost the same artwork. These are just little things that people that know about it take for granted. But when people are just listing it online, they might not know. They're just listing some cards they have. So that was important to note about this, because with the new listings between the two negative and positive e-image stores, there was only about a 3% increase on price. So with new stuff, it's not as big of a deal because there's really less that can go wrong. If it's just a brand new thing in a package, that's what you're going to get. It was especially important on used items. So of course, with the Pokemon world, that's going to be a bit more relevant. And this also is really pragmatic for bidders as well, because if the 17% extra they're going to pay for someone that has a professional and reputable image that they can trust on, that 17% really pays for itself when you get the peace of mind to know that you're going to get what's stated, it's accurately described, the shipping will be expedient, and the whole transaction itself is going to run smoother. That 17% increase in price or decrease on the other side, I think really does pay for itself when you deal with someone that you're going to get what you wanted and it's going to get to you and everything's going to be smooth, rather than taking the chance that it's going to take a while or it's not going to be as stated, or all the things that can happen when you're dealing with someone that just kind of looks a little shady. So that's it. The study wanted to evaluate the tangible effects that e-image has on auctions, and they found that there was some real empirical advantages for taking the time to take note of these types of things. So for people out there that are getting into this, or maybe are into it and are still getting new to it and still adjusting, this is just something to think about, as well as just for any type of businesses, just maintaining a professional, reliable, trustworthy image, and also carrying out with that is going to be something that allows you to maintain your business and get more customers and continue to thrive. For me, also, one thing I want to do with my business is I want to create this reliable and trustworthy platform, because I want to start working with other people that are selling products that kind of go in line with collectibles or gaming type of products, and give them a platform through me to be able to reach more customers. So I want them to know also that they're selling their products through someone who is reputable and people want to deal with. So that's just another idea I have moving forward for my businesses. And if anyone out there watching this knows anyone has a product, or knows someone with a product that they need some help kind of launching, and just wants a platform that can help them get their product out there with someone that has a pretty solid platform and a lot of eyes on it, let me know. Shoot me a comment, leave a comment, hit me up on eBay or Instagram, and just we can talk about it if that's something that you would be interested in. And also, just the last thing, of course, like I was saying, this is something pragmatic for individual relationships, the way that you conduct yourself. And it also brings up the idea of evaluating people, and it's this idea of dealing with people. We use that word dealing as well as in business, except in interpersonal relationships, we're not dealing with money, we're dealing with less tangible things like trust and the sharing of information and the spending of time with each other. So these are things we can use to have more, to get more profit, I guess you could say, in the way of dealing with other people as well. So it's just another way to think about it. So there it is. I hope you enjoyed and got some good information out of this study, and it can help your business and interpersonal practices going into the future. And stay tuned for my next video. It'll be next week sometime, not my next video. I have a really cool collection coming in. It's actually a Pokémon specific collection, and it's really cool. I know that you will all enjoy seeing this collection, and until then, I will see you on the next video. Thank you.